Texas Aggie football squad accomplished something that no A&M team had ever done before. A perfect 12-0 regular season record. For the second straight year, the Aggies went undefeated in Southwest Conference play, proving that in 1992, R.C. Slocum's Aggies were the best in the Southwest. The team reported for practice on August 3rd, but the coaching staff had spent much time planning on how to replace such experienced veterans as Bucky Richardson, Quentin Coryat, and Kevin Smith. Throughout the season, several newcomers stepped up and proved that the coaching staff had planned well. Coupled with the strong play of their teammates, the 1992 team went out to prove that they deserved to be recognized as one of the nation's best. The Aggies kicked off their ambitious 12-game schedule in Anaheim, California, where the team would meet the Stanford Cardinal in Bill Walsh's return to college football. After several days of pre-game activities, the Aggies showed a national television audience that they were ready to play. The first game of the season was a contest that turned into a two-way defensive struggle. A&M fell behind early in the second quarter, following a 5-yard scoring run by Stanford's J.J. Lashley. After 3 scoreless quarters, the Aggie offense finally got on track, driving 43 yards to the Stanford 21-yard line to set up A&M's first score. Quarterback Jeff Granger found tight end Greg Shorp in the end zone for the Aggies' only touchdown. With 4:27 left on the clock, place kicker Terry Venetoulias hit a 39-yard field goal to clinch a 10-7 victory for A&M. Granger led the team with yards rushing and was 11 of 31 for 132 yards passing with 1 touchdown. Senior linebacker Marcus Buckley saw limited time due to a mysterious illness, yet he provided several key defensive plays, including a sack and a fumble recovery. The Aggies were on their way.
That ought to be the best lesson tonight of how you play the game of football that you could have. There's no better lesson, because when you look at it, it was a back and forth, and this whole team participated in it. And so let's take this and build on it, and we ought to be much stronger the next time we get in this situation. And we're going to be in it again. You can book it. If we're going to try to win every one of our games, we're going to be in this thing again, probably this next week. Probably next weekend in Baton Rouge, we're going to be in it again. But every time you're in there, you get stronger and stronger. When things start going bad, you say, hey, we don't quit, we just get tougher. When things go bad, we get stronger. And we believe in each other and we hang in there. Now, part of that is that us coming off that field and taking these trophies back to Texas with us and winning that game, that's what we came out here for.
Yeah.
We didn't come out here for individual things. We came out team things, but byproduct, we got the most valuable offensive thing, we got the team trophy. We used a bunch of different guys, different combinations. We will do that all year. The team does whatever it has to do.
September 5th proved to be a hot and humid day in Baton Rouge. The Aggies went to LSU's Tiger Stadium to search for their second win. However, to accomplish this, A&M would have to overcome the Death Valley curse. The last time the Aggies had won in Tiger Stadium was in 1975. After 3 quarters, A&M clung to a narrow 17-14 lead when senior cornerback Derek Frazier intercepted an LSU pass on the first play of the 4th quarter, and the Aggies took possession on the LSU 22-yard line. On the next play, running back Rodney Thomas scampered 22 yards for a touchdown and a 24-14 lead. With 5:22 remaining, fullback Cliff Gross rambled into the end zone from 12 yards out to cap an 80-yard, 10-play drive to ice the game. Jeff Granger completed 13 of 26 passes for 196 yards and 1 TD. Senior fullback Doug Carter had a career-high 5 receptions for 47 yards and 1 touchdown while rushing for 51 yards on only 6 carries. Greg Hill and Rodney Thomas combined for 194 yards rushing. Steve Solari and Lance Teichelman paced the defense. Solari with 8 tackles and Teichelman with a pair of tackles for losses and 1 sack. The 2-0 Aggies had their home opener September 12th against Tulsa. The Aggies were looking to avenge their only 1991 regular season defeat at Tulsa's Skelly Stadium. Tulsa kicked 2 field goals in the second quarter to take a 6-3 lead into halftime. But the Aggies came out in the second half determined to get their 3rd win of the season. The Wrecking Crew held Tulsa's offense to 48 yards and only 4 first downs in the second half, en route to a 19-9 Texas A&M win. A&M outgained the Golden Hurricane 286-184 yards. Leading the offensive attack for the Aggies was running back Greg Hill, who rushed for 125 yards and 1 touchdown while also adding 1 TD reception.
But we went out there against a good football team. They've won 8 football games in a row. And you found a way to win the game. We got plenty of time next week to come back and work out the rough spots. But you, again, in the 4th quarter, 3 weeks in a row, have shown the character to get it done. So don't sell yourself short of that. Now, as you go out there, you go run into people wondering why we do this, why we do that. Be nice and say, hey, we went in the game to win it. That's what we did.
They played with a lot more emotion than I thought they would. And when we got them down, I thought they'd kind of give up, but they kept fighting. And you got to give credit to their coaching staff and to their team because they gave us a game all the way through.
We came out the second half and took the ball down the field and scored the opening drive and, again, won it in the 4th quarter. So we're doing some good things. We just got to improve on the things we're not doing very well.
The team traveled to Columbia, Missouri on September 19th to face the Missouri Tigers. As was becoming a tradition, the Aggies went into halftime trailing their opponent. Yet A&M rallied for 23 second-half points, while only allowing the Tigers a field goal in the final 30 minutes of play as A&M posted their 4th victory, 26-13. On the 3rd play of the second half, Jeff Granger connected with Tony Harrison on a screen pass. After shaking off a defender, Harrison sprinted 73 yards for a touchdown. Patrick Bates made a key interception deep in Missouri territory. 4 plays later, Granger completed a 6-yard scoring pass to Greg Hill as A&M took the lead for good. Greg Hill led the way with his 2nd straight 100-yard-plus performance, while fullback Cliff Gross gained 66 yards on 6 carries. On October 3rd, the Aggies opened up the conference race against Texas Tech at Kyle Field in what would prove to be one of the season's most memorable come-from-behind victories. The Aggies had a 10-0 advantage in the first quarter on a touchdown by Greg Hill and a 21-yard field goal by Terry Venatulius. Tech took the lead in the third quarter on a 41-yard scoring pass from Robert Hall to Lloyd Hill. A&M regained the lead 16-14 on Rodney Thomas' yard touchdown run. Following a Tech field goal, the Aggies started their final drive. On a crucial 3rd and 8 at the Tech 42, Granger was almost sacked for a big loss, but managed to escape the defender's grasp and complete a 13-yard pass to Greg Short for the first down. A&M drove to the Tech 4-yard line to set up Venatulius' game-winning field goal as time expired.
Terry is taking his steps now. David Davis looks back at him. He'll call the snap counts. He's going to look around. Spotted. It's up. And it is good. He hit it. Time's out. The Aggies have won it.
The Aggies would remain unbeaten.
Nothing that says that you have to win by X number of points or anything like that. It's a bunch of guys going out there and setting out to win the game. We've said all along that we're going to get everybody's best shots. And that's where champions line up and say, we'll go shoot, toe to toe, we'll stay here 60 minutes, and we'll take your best shots, and when it's all over with, we'll still be standing here with our heads up in a victory. And you did a great job as a football team of staying out there and fighting. You overcame a bunch of tough breaks, and tough things happened to you, but you never lost faith in yourselves. You kept handling it. Terry, great job. That's what it's all about. Work out this. I like it like that. I like it. The tighter you screw it down, the more I like it. The next bunch wants to get up. We'll be ready for them too.
Well, everybody thinks that they can run on us, so we just had to prove tonight that it's not going to be as easy as people think it will. It is, So we just tried to play to the best of our ability, and we just stopped the run.
Anytime, that you takes it down to the wire, a lot of people will be concerned about the way the game went, but the bottom line is we won and our kids stuck in there and they've done it time over time, and that tells you a lot about them right there.
We're 1-0 in conference. We're taking our first step towards defending our championship. And then I see the whole team coming. Then I see these huge guys coming, and James McKeon grabs me and we fall, and here comes everybody else. So that was a great feeling, though. It was great.
A&M's second conference contest came 2 weeks later in College Station against the Rice Owls. A&M scored on its first 2 possessions, taking an early 14-0 lead. At the half, the Aggies had a 14-9 lead, and the wrecking crew saw to it that Rice would score no second-half points. Greg Hill scored his second touchdown of the day in the third quarter, making the A&M lead 21-9. In the fourth quarter, Rodney Thomas connected on a 50-yard halfback pass to Ryan Matthews for a 28-9 advantage. The final score came on a 58-yard scoring pass from Corey Pullig to Tony Harrison for Pullig's first collegiate completion and touchdown, and for Harrison's second TD of the day. Jeff Granger went 11 of 24 for 136 yards, while Pullig was 4 of 5 for 99 yards as the Aggies moved their season record to 6-0.
They were going with 4 wide receivers and then putting Cobb in as the 5th wide receiver in an empty formation with no backs. That forced us to put in Chris Colon, who is a 6th defensive back for us. If Trevor Cobb lined up in the backfield, Chris Colon gave us the flexibility to be a linebacker.
October 24th saw the Baylor Bears come to town in what would be Grant Taft's final game against the Aggies as the Bears head coach. A fired-up Baylor squad was looking to spoil the Aggies' unblemished record, but A&M would not be denied. A&M took an early lead on this Rodney Thomas 84-yard scoring sprint, the longest TD run by the Aggies in 5 years. But Baylor responded with 13 unanswered points. A&M regained the lead on Greg Hill's 40-yard scoring burst and extended the margin on a Venetoulias field goal with 6:25 left to play. Baylor took a late safety in an effort to gain field position, providing the final 19-13 margin. The day belonged to the Aggie defense. On 2 occasions, the Aggies were backed up to their own 1-yard line, and each time the defense denied Baylor any points. Marcus Buckley led the defense with 12 tackles, while Aggie rookie Aaron Glenn intercepted 2 passes for A&M, including one in the final 2 minutes to kill the final Baylor scoring threat.
Me coming out of junior college, I never played against an option team, well, option pass team, and they kept telling me all week, this is going to be a test for me. And all week I just concentrated and watched a whole lot of film, because this is my first time playing against it, and Coach Dave was just, he come for me and just helped me out, and I just came out and played to the best of my ability.
We try to use some formations to give us an advantage, and I think people that watched the game could see that Greg Shorp was in a very unique position up tight to line of scrimmage. We try to have that matchup on their best player, Lachey Matson, and Greg Shorp did a great job all day blocking their number 7 all-conference player, Lachey Matson.
It was a big challenge for us to come in and control the line of scrimmage and make the big plays when we had to. And as an offensive line, I think we came together and gave the backs enough room to run and break the big ones when they had to.
A&M traveled to Dallas October 31st to face SMU at the Cotton Bowl. After quarterback Jeff Granger suffered a concussion in the first quarter, true freshman Corey Pulling stepped up to lead the Aggies. A&M's offense had found the spark it needed. The Aggies scored on lengthy drives on their first 2 possessions against the Mustangs, which burned 13:55 of the first 16:30 of the game. A&M took a 21-7 lead into halftime. The Mustangs just couldn't match the Aggies' intensity as A&M rolled to a 41-7 victory. The Aggies outgained the Mustangs in total offense, 445 yards to 179, including a 292-25 edge in rushing yardage. Greg Hill led the way with 138 yards and 2 TDs, while Rodney Thomas ran for 78 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pullig completed 7 passes for 114 yards.
I think we came out and did a lot of good things on offense, and the defense is always playing good, so we can depend on them. But I think we did a lot of good things on offense.
Well, I tell you, it was difficult. We knew they'd throw the ball. We knew that they'd give us 1 back with 4 wide receivers, and we knew we had our work cut out for us. But I thought our guys played real well. We had trouble early because they were trying to pick us, and they were successful at it the first 2 series. And then we settled down and made some adjustments, and the guys played well.
The Aggies took a break from the Southwest Conference race as they faced off against the Louisville Cardinals in Kyle Field on November 7th. With freshman Corey Pulling getting his first collegiate start at quarterback, the Aggies rolled to a 40-18 victory over Louisville. Pulling completed a career-high 14 of 22 passes for 128 yards and 1 touchdown. Greg Hill rushed for a season-high 142 yards, while backfield teammate Rodney Thomas added 64 yards and 1 touchdown on just 8 carries. Thomas also completed 2 halfback passes for 40 yards. Junior tight end Greg Short caught a career-high 8 passes for 85 yards, tying him for the 5th most single-game reception in school history. Defensively, safety Patrick Bates led the effort with a career-high 14 tackles, while linebacker Jason Atkinson added 10 stops. The Aggies were a perfect 9-0 and showed no signs of letting up.
Today it just seemed like, we were a balanced attack. It seemed like we were running the ball effectively, but also throwing the ball effectively, which opened up the run. So I think today, as far as an offense, just being a more balanced attack, helped us be successful.
Well, I just think, Corey Pulling gave us a little bit of a spark today and, made some big plays when we needed to make them. Some 3rd and 4th down plays where we converted to keep drives alive. And the whole football team offensively, I was just really pleased with the way they moved the football.
5 days later, A&M traveled to the Astrodome to rejoin the conference race as they faced the Houston Cougars. A national ESPN television audience saw the Aggies enter halftime trailing 17-10. But the Aggies exploded for 21 unanswered points in the 3rd quarter on 3 Greg Hill touchdowns. A&M took a 31-17 lead. Houston regained some momentum in the 4th quarter when receiver Ron Peters took a short sideline pass from Jimmy Klingler and raced 73 yards for a touchdown. TV replays showed that Peters was clearly out of bounds, but the play stood. Billy Mitchell took the ensuing kickoff and returned it 95 yards to the Houston 2-yard line, the longest kickoff return by an Aggie in 19 years.
The tackle, that is Mitchell, 30. He's at the 40, 50, 45, 40 being chased, 30, 25, 20 being chased, 10, 5, down at the 2 at the 1-yard line.
And no flags.
Down at the 1.
Rodney Thomas's scoring plunge gave A&M a 38-23 lead with 6:02 left in the game. Houston scored again 2 minutes later to close the score at a 38-30, but the Aggies held on for the victory. Corey Pulling led A&M with 272 yards on 17 completions, while Rodney Thomas and Greg Hill combined for 162 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns.
When you're playing a big game like this, you have to take it upon yourself to make big plays. You have to do your part and do your part well. And I think that's one of the things that we did tonight. We had a lot of key plays, a lot of big-time plays made by big-time players on this team.
Well, I'll tell you what, we went in and we made some subtle adjustments, and we put in some pass plays, actually, that ended up giving us a couple big plays at the end. So our kids really did a good job adjusting. Greg came out of the backfield and turned it up, and we just made some big plays.
The Aggies' final home appearance was against TCU on November 21st. After a very intense thunderstorm had passed, the Aggies got down to the task at hand. A&M exploded for 21 fourth-quarter points to ride to a 37-10 victory against the Horned Frogs. Greg Hill rushed for a season-high 187 yards and 1 TD. With the victory over the Horned Frogs, A&M clinched its second consecutive Southwest Conference title. The Aggies stretched their season win streak to 11. Yet one game remained.
Just great, back-to-back Southwest Conference champions. It's my senior year, and I couldn't ask for anything better right now, undefeated. But it's not over yet. We still have to come back, and it could be even greater if we come back and beat Texas next Thursday. And right now, just the greatest feeling in the world.
I want to be the first to officially congratulate the 1992 Southwest Conference champions. That's a pretty good ring to it, doesn't it?
Texas A&M capped a perfect 12-0 regular season with a convincing 34-13 victory over conference rival Texas in front of more than 81,000 fans at Memorial Stadium and an ESPN national television audience. The Aggies became the second SWC team and ninth ever to win 12 regular season games. After Texas took an early lead, A&M scored 17 unanswered second-quarter points. Behind the tough running of Greg Hill and Rodney Thomas, the Aggies drove 94 yards in 12 plays, culminated by this Thomas 6-yard scoring burst. A&M held a commanding 17-3 lead at halftime, but the Longhorns had not given up. Texas' only touchdown of the game was set up when Mike Adams returned the second-half kickoff 56 yards, giving the Longhorns great field position. 2 plays later, quarterback Peter Gardier lateraled to receiver Derek Duke, who then threw back to the quarterback for an 18-yard touchdown. Texas' final score came on a 42-yard field goal. Then it was the Aggies' turn. Terry Venatulius added a 28-yard field goal, and Rodney Thomas rushed for his 3rd TD of the game. The Aggie secondary got into the act when defensive back Aaron Glenn cut in front of a Gardier pass and sprinted 95 yards for the final score of the game.
Intercepted by the Aggies, and here comes the
He
return.
may go!
At the 30, at the 40, at the 40, 35, 30. Still going. At the 10, it's going to be Aaron Glenn into the end zone. Touchdown. Aaron Glenn on an interception, and this one belongs to Texas A&M.
For the second time in 2 years, the Aggies were Southwest Conference champions, unbeaten in conference play. And for the first time ever, A&M had a 12-win season, proving that in 1992, the Texas Aggies were the best in the Southwest.
On behalf of the Cotton Bowl Athletic Association, we all accept our invitation to be the host team at the Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic.
Even when they had a couple of big plays on us, we pulled together and continued to play well. And that's one thing about our defense. As long as we can play together, I feel like the defense will always play good.
Beating Texas and beating Texas convincingly, it doesn't get any better than this. And if I had to script the way to go out, this would be it.
January 1st would see the Aggies making their 2nd consecutive appearance in the Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic, facing off against Notre Dame in a rematch of the 1988 Cotton Bowl. In the team's only previous meeting, A&M prevailed 35-10. It was cold and cloudy in Dallas for the kickoff, and in the first quarter, neither team could find an advantage. It appeared that the teams would remain knotted at 0 going into halftime, when with 36 seconds remaining, Notre Dame hit on a 40-yard touchdown pass. The second half belonged to Notre Dame. The only A&M score came on a 41-yard Terry Venatulius field goal at the start of the fourth quarter. Notre Dame went on to win the contest 28-3, the same margin of victory that the Aggies had after the 1988 Cotton Bowl. The The Aggies ended their season with a 12-1 mark, the best ever for an Aggie squad. In a season that took the players from Disneyland to Dallas, the team proved that they deserved to be recognized as one of the nation's best.